is free. No, it cannot be.
Just now, the Illinois Supreme Court on overturning actor Jussie Smollett's conviction on allegations that he had staged a racist and homophobic attack against himself in downtown Chicago in 2019 and lied to police. Just a little color from his attorney in a statement to Fox saying, quote, "This was not a prosecution based on facts. Rather, it was vindictive persecution."
Say it ain't so. Jussie Smollett's been let go, guys. It's been a prison break. Okay, they let him out. Okay, he's free. Okay, like he's probably clapping some cheeks, some male cheeks right now. Because this guy, Jussie Smollett, for those who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, this guy was convicted for faking a hate crime. Everybody should know about this already. He was convicted for faking a hate crime. Said somebody put a noose around his neck and came through talking about some MAGA country. This fool tried to say he was innocent until the very end. He even said that after he was convicted. They have so much evidence on this man. It's clear as day that he lied and made the whole thing up because the demand for victimhood outweighs the supply.
Fighting. There was a second person involved who was kicking me in my back. And then it just stopped.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Man, this is some bullshit!
But in a strange twist of fate, because the prosecutors was too thirsty, they ended up screwing up. Okay, they had a special prosecutor. That previous prosecution made a deal with Jussie. He fulfilled his end of the bargain. Special prosecutor shows up saying, F that deal. We prosecuting you anyway. And they ended up getting a guilty conviction. However, once this previous deal was in place, you can't just write it off because apparently it's illegal to do so. So this is just a fault of the thirsty behind legal system. You got all kinds of people out here still in jail for minuscule drug charges. You can even get sent to jail for freaking speeding tickets, DUIs, all kinds of like little BS. This guy makes up a whole hate crime. Somebody else could have got locked up for, y'all realize somebody else could have got locked up for this, right? They could have found somebody like, we think is you. You know, they could have just played the game of pin the tail on the white person. Boom, we got you. We know it was you, okay? Like, you seem like a MAGA country type, right? They could have did this. Jussie Smollett is so low integrity, he probably would have went along with it. But that's not what happened. They caught him, they busted him, okay? A lot of people who were, or the people associated with it, they confessed to, like, yeah, he told us to do this. So he's cooked. But apparently not, because these people got too damn thirsty and now he's out of jail. I'm gonna go ahead and let CNN give some details about this. Let's get into it.
Law and Justice lead a new twist to a case that has already played out with multiple dramatic turns. Actor Jussie Smollett, as you might recall, was convicted in 2021 on 5 counts for staging a fake attack on himself, paying 2 men who he knew from the show Empire to assault him while they shouted racist and homophobic slurs on a Chicago street. Today, the Illinois Supreme Court overturned Smollett's conviction. The ruling was not on the merits of the case, but on who tried it. The state's attorney originally dropped the charges after Smollett paid a fine and performed some community service. And then a special prosecutor was appointed, and that special prosecutor landed the conviction. Here to help us understand all of this is CNN's legal analyst, Laura Coates, who, of course, also anchors Laura Coates Live, which airs at 11 p.m. only here on CNN. She gives fascinating insights and all sorts of things, especially on big cases like this one when they're grabbing headlines. Laura, so good to have you back.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you for being here. So this was a 5-0 opinion. The Illinois Supreme Court Justice Elizabeth Rockford wrote, what would be more unjust than the resolution of any one criminal case would be holding from this court that the state was not bound to honor agreements upon which people have detrimentally relied. So this was more about procedure?
It was about a contract, essentially. This all comes down to whether a deal really is a deal. Remember, initially, they chose not to prosecute him. They had a Latin term, nolle prosequi, which essentially means not wanting to prosecute. As part of that, $10,000 forfeit of his bond, hours of community service, and that was the only punishment. That word's important later. Based on that, he relied. He fulfilled those obligations, and then they said, you know what, never mind, we're now going to still prosecute you.
Double jeopardy.
It's double jeopardy, it's due process violation, which is what the court actually held. And they said, listen, how is the prosecutor's office to have credibility if no one can rely on what you say is the deal? And more importantly, he's already fulfilled the obligations. Imagine, if you will, you and I had a contract. I did everything on my end, and then you said, well, that's great, never mind. They applied the same principles of a kind of contract law to this case. It's the right decision irrespective of the underlying facts everyone points to, because it reminds you a lot of what contract law is about.
Now, here's the thing that's crazy. I mean, I never thought I'd say this, but Laura Coates is actually correct here, okay? When it comes to politics, she has completely brain dead takes, but as it relates to basic law, she's absolutely correct. Like, it sucks that this guy basically is unable to get away with, I would argue, is a pretty heinous crime. Like, you just think about the amount of uproar that it caused at the time. Hell, Kamala Harris at one point said there needs to be justice for Jussie.
Which tweet? What tweet?
About saying that it is a modern day lynching, that
sorry.
Yes, Jussie Smollett.
Okay, I believe that this is a rumor now. I'll say, like, in terms of them being related, I believe they're related. They're on camera together. Okay, I'll put some footage up here on the screen so y'all can see them. They're on camera together. Now, this may just be, they just so happen to be in the same place. But there's some sort of rumor that somehow they're loosely related one way or another. But this guy brought all of these people, he like riled up this racial tension in the country in order to, in some weird way, uplift himself and uplift his victimhood. And I'm not exactly sure what the goal is, but the fact that he did this at all is just crazy. Like, literally the situation that he's in, all this drama and turmoil and years in prison, was all because of something that he did to himself. He didn't even have to do this. He was a successful actor with probably a pretty bright future. Now, I don't know who the hell is gonna want to risk working with this clown in the future. So guys, let's take a quick peek at his attorney giving the spiel on this, because I'm curious about this. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it through all of it, because you know it's about to be a bunch of bile, a bunch of dribble, and a bunch of freaking BS. But let's go ahead and take a peek.
Team, let me start off by saying this. Prosecutions should be based on facts. Prosecution should not be based on vindictiveness. This was a vindictive persecution, not a prosecution. Let's not make any mistake about that. The Supreme Court was clear. The rule of law and due process have to remain the fundamental process for which the American jurisprudence is run. It is not run by public opinion. Now, we face a big challenge, defense attorneys all around the country, especially in the age of social media, where there's a mass dissemination of information that are not facts in evidence. And the big challenge is holding the line for the rule of law. And that's what exactly this court did, and we're very happy with the decision today. We're very pleased, but it was expected. We shouldn't be surprised. This is the law of the land in this particular state and all around America. And so that's where we are right now, and we'll take any questions from you.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
In terms of Jussie countersuing the city of Chicago. Is he still pursuing that case?
Well, that's a civil
Oh, they're talking about he's countersuing. I didn't even know about that.
case. Today, we're focused on the criminal appeal. And that criminal appeal, we have a unanimous decision from the Supreme Court, 5-0. Remember, there was no dissent. 5-0, saying he was treated unfairly, that this was an unfair process. And when you have an unfair process, you have a travesty of justice, which is exactly what happened here.
Now, guys, Like, I'm listening to this guy, but it just clicked. It just dawned on me that he has a countersuit. This guy may actually end up benefiting from this if he could manage to somehow win, because technically it sounds like they screwed the pooch on this. It sounds like they're right. They messed up. They broke the legal proceeding. Like, they just tried to kind of just finesse and get away with it, you know. And guys, they effed up. They effed up bad. They're allowing this criminal to go free.
Jussie's back. I must say this. Jussie's back to where he was. He's presumed innocent. Remember, the jury's verdict is now null and void. Of course.
Bullshit. You gotta be kidding me. Like, guys, okay, I know. Okay, here's the thing. Legally, he's right. But in terms of actually, factually, no. Guys, okay, this is something that I wanted people to understand about that whole, for example, Trump situation, right? They found him guilty on some BS, which is likely to get overturned. So just because somebody is found guilty by a court, bear in mind that somebody has to judge, the judge either makes a determination or the jury makes a determination. They can be wrong. It's still humans just making a decision at the end of the day. So there's no factual bearing on what is actually happening. And the same goes for if somebody is found innocent. Innocent or guilty is the same thing. In this case, he was found guilty by the court. And based on the evidence, I believe we all can safely say that he definitely seems like he is guilty. Now, this guy's saying, oh, he's back to being innocent. Yes, in the eyes of the law, he's right. However, in reality, we all know. Like, imagine if this was a murder case, a pedophile case, or a grape case, and the evidence was clear. They done found the freaking sperm inside they did a DNA test and found a man's sperm inside the woman's thing, and you know, and she's bleeding, she's hurt, she's beat up, and they found hairs and blood and all kinds of stuff. But because of a technicality, well, I mean, he's back to being innocent, guys. Sorry, you know, it doesn't make sense. I get it that you have to follow procedures, but I also feel like there needs to be some way in order to make sure that justice is served, even if procedures are broken. Like, you just reverse course on the whole thing doesn't seem like it's justice either, right? It seems like both things are wrong to me.
That's not the jury's fault. They were impaneled, but this was an unfair proceeding, period. And so he's back to where he was. And so I would like, the real question now should be, you know, even though this is over now and Jussie absolutely wants to move his life forward, I think people should start asking questions. How did this happen? Why should this even happen? What can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again? And what were the facts that we never bothered to look at because everyone was distracted with public opinion? Please. Yes.
Dan Webb released a statement earlier today pointing to the fact that the Supreme Court didn't take issue with any of the facts of this case, and therefore this ruling has nothing to do with Jussie's innocence.
Well, Dan Webb contradicted himself. He also mentioned that he disagreed with the Supreme Court's view of the facts and the law. So he said that. I read his statement. Statement is completely wrong, and he's been wrong all along. I have great respect for him as an attorney, but in this particular situation, he's completely wrong. And let me tell you why. You cannot say, hey, listen, the process is unfair. How we got here was wrong, but we're going to stick to the decision that was made from an unfair proceeding. And that's not how it works. No one wants to be treated badly or unfairly, and then you say, we're going to pretend like we never did that. Yes, we did it, we were wrong, we're going to put that aside, but you're still guilty. It doesn't work like that. He's innocent, and that he's always maintained his innocence, and there have been strong, a mountain of reasonable doubt and evidence pointing to his innocence in this case that no one has bothered to take a look at.
Guys, this press conference, I mean, that's like the beginning. Like, it's not long, but it's too much for me. I can't deal with it. Guys, okay, whoever is prosecuting these things needs to take the freaking temperature down and make sure you do your damn job correctly. Otherwise, stuff like this happens. This is a humiliation. Imagine being outsmarted by this guy, Jussie Smollett, you got outsmarted, guys. Like, that's just stupid, okay? They got a little too bloodthirsty, sounds like, and they screwed up. Now, technically, the original deal was for him also not to get jail time, but they never had to give him that deal. Like, if somebody gives you a plea bargain, like, they don't have to even do that. They just do that so they can get a guilty verdict normally, so that they can maintain some sort of good record. Like, yeah, I found X amount of people guilty. Everybody's guilty. My record is 90% guilty, right? They didn't have to do that. They could have just made sure it went to trial, gave him the conviction, boom, that would have been it. But they screwed up. The first prosecutor screwed up by giving him that guilty plea. And this second special prosecutor screwed up by just trying to go against what originally had transpired and trying to prosecute him anyway. So it seems like there's a lot of mistakes here made by multiple different people. There's no single points of failure. There's a lot of dumb mistakes that they made. It looks like, in my opinion, being greedy. Prosecutor number 1 got greedy for a guilty verdict. Prosecutor number 2 got greedy for a guilty verdict. Both of them were greedy as hell. And now you ended up with nothing except egg on your face, and everybody in pretty much all of America feeling like this court system, between this whole thing with Fonnie Willis, between the whole thing with Donald Trump, and all the stuff with the civil fraud, with they finding new ways to bring lawfare against presidents, and then you got this nonsense. It just makes our legal system looks like it's a convoluted joke. It looks like a big mess of a bunch of rules and regulations that don't even work properly because the people who are in control of it are incompetent. Those are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel for new. I appreciate y'all watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
Because we understood that this nigga was clearly lying.